Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning grind. Welcome to the office. I hope you're having a good day. I woke up early and was sitting here trying to get work done early today. Then went back to sleep and now back up here. So I hope you're doing very well. I have got tons and tons of errands to run today. I got a huge list of errands right here. So I've still got work to do for taxes, administration. That's not fun. And I also have a whole bunch of errands I got to go run today. So today is going to be action-packed because not only do I have all of that, but then tonight as well. Tonight, after I run all those errands, tonight, we got the crew assembled tonight right here for Table Talk. Right here, I'll post a link if you want to click this link and then click the Notify Me button. So What Is Story is tonight on Table Talk. Cameron's going to be here. Doug's going to be here. Brianna's going to be here. So we're going to be talking about what is story. That's going to be a very foundational discussion of ours in, our entire just talk and discussion on story. But then also will be a good opportunity for at the end for Doug to talk about episode 3. We can talk about episode 3 of Ahsoka, and we can also hear from Cameron what he thinks about Ahsoka because he is positive on Ahsoka. So we'll do our foundational discussion. I don't think Brianna's watched Ahsoka, but anyway, this will be an opportunity to get Cameron and Cameron's perspective, and also Doug's update through episode 3. But then also, I'm looking forward to a much deeper discussion about what story is. So that's going on tonight. So let's see who is here. Let's see, we got James says, yo, this is my jam. My favorite episode of He-Man, for which includes the eminently more watchable She-Ra, is Horde Prime Takes a Holiday. I remember that one. It typifies Skeletor in such a perfect way and shows the strength of the Power Twins to great effect. This is going to be a great episode. I can feel it. Well, I was inspired here because I'm syncing a bunch of files. If I'm a little bit choppy, I realized I was syncing something through Dropbox, and I just turned that off. So if the stream is choppy, it should improve in just a second. James says, this is going to be a great episode. I can feel it. Well, I thought about doing this. This was kind of a non-standard episode, but I decided to go ahead and do it because Andrew was talking yesterday. What was it, yesterday or a few days ago? Andrew was asking, what about the cartoon reviews? And I hadn't thought about it. And I was like, wait a minute, because I'm going through and sorting all of my videos. Like I said, I get like 1,000 videos and trying to get them onto different channels and things like that. And he said, what about the He-Man episode reviews? And I thought, oh, well, we should use those on the morning grind. But also, I hadn't seen them. I hadn't run across those during all of my going through all of my different episodes, all of my videos and things. Well, I found them, and I was like, hey, you know what? We should. So I've got videos here that I'm going to play here. These might need to go over to the Table Talk channel. It doesn't seem quite right anymore for the way this one's going to be branded, but story and story review is over there on the Table Talk channel. So these might need to have, well, of course, new thumbnails put up and then go over to the Table Talk channel. That seems to be great. Seems to be what needs to happen. Zero the Blade says, never watched the original, but did watch the 2000 reboot and the Netflix series. I watched some of the 2000s, the 2000 reboot. I watched a lot of the original. I watched a lot of the original He-Man. I did watch the 2000s reboot, and I watched some of that. James, I think James is right. James says 2000X is a great take on He-Man. They did a lot to further develop the different species and characters. The Gar, for example, became my new favorite species from the 2000X show. Skeletor and Cyclone are both Gar, essentially just blue people. I remember enjoying what I was watching. I don't know why I stopped though. I don't remember what came up. Well, maybe something happened. I didn't finish it. Probably should, but I do remember enjoying the 2000X. I did watch the Netflix series, and I remember all the controversy about that show going on YouTube. I decided to go ahead and I was really excited about the Netflix He-Man Revelations. I was really excited about that, and I decided because I'm such a He-Man fan. As you can tell, I got the He-Man figures and stuff behind me. And I remember diving into all of the controversy and all the rumors at first. I was like, what do I do? Do I not? Because I was sitting here working at the office a lot, like I typically do. And I was like, do I go all in on rumors for the He-Man Revelation and figure all this out? Or do I not and just watch it fresh? And I decided, I'm just going to make going all in for the rumors and things like that part of the experience. And I did. So I was keeping track of, at the time, all of the rumors and the controversy and things like that. Good morning, Trey and Robert. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, Sable is not in on He-Man. I'm going to have pretty much nothing to add to this conversation since I never watched He-Man. I didn't have a TV while I was growing up. James says, I'm excited for tonight's story. Is a lot more broad than some people are willing to accept, but this crew will be pretty open-minded, I feel. The Last Phoenix says, I only remember By the Power of Grayskull from He-Man since I only saw 1 or 2 episodes. Oh, Robert's reporting progress on the front, on the AI text-based adventure front. Robert says, more progress. Now objects can be dropped in rooms. Next up, pick up and drop multiple objects at once. Still ironing out search room. I didn't watch very many Thundercats. Good morning, Rogue Thinker. And PH. Okay. PH says, by the power of the grind, I have the knowledge. By the power of the grind. I like that. I'm going to have to remember that if I ever have to redo my intro or something like that. Very nice. Okay, so is there anything else I need to say about what's going on before we get into these videos? Because I'm just going to, I edited together a bunch of videos on this subject. So I'll come back. We'll go back and forth between that and the discussion. Because like my top He-Man episodes are over there. Okay, so like I said, was there anything else I need to say that we're getting ready for table talk tonight? But that's about it at the moment, because after that I've got to clear a bunch of administrative stuff and I got to run a bunch of errands. So I guess that is about it. Okay, let's go over here to see what I think the top 10 episodes. I think I ended up going top 15 over here actually. So let's go ahead and see. So I want to know if you remember these episodes, and if you do, what you think about the order. I think the first thing I do is just go in for what are the top He-Man episodes in no particular order. So this is no particular order, and then later we're going to rank them all. But I put together a list of about 15 so that we could see. So let's see. Episodes were the very Rogue Thinker says there was a time when Saturday mornings were a wonderland starting at 4 a.m. You really had to get up early to catch the good stuff. Probably West Coast kid getting East Coast TV. I remember, Saturday morning cartoons, because that's probably not even a real thing anymore. I remember Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday morning, my mother always fixed my brother and me cinnamon toast, and we got to eat it in the den watching Saturday morning cartoons. Top 18. Yes. Okay, so I guess it's actually top 18 He-Man episodes. Okay, so but now we talked about that. Now the boys, the nephews, have the streaming services, whatever one's on, and they get like every single episode of everything at all times. So they don't really experience. They don't really experience Saturday morning cartoons anymore. That's the benefit and also the loss of scarcity. There's no scarcity anymore. All right, let's see what my top 18 He-Man episodes are in random order. Which He-Man episodes were the very best from the original He-Man animated series? I'm Heath, and that's what we're going to be talking about here in this video, and also across the video series that we are getting started here, where we are going to be doing commentary, review, and analysis of what I think the top 18 He-Man episodes were. So here's what I've got here. I went through all the He-Man episodes from Season 1 and Season 2, and I made a list of my favorites, and I came up with a list of 18 of them. And then we're going to go through here, and then in different videos, we're going to do review and analysis of each one as we watch them together, and then try to decide where they rank. So what I've got here in this video are the top 18 He-Man episodes in random order. I went through and I wrote down all of my favorite episodes. I came up with 18 of them, and then I intentionally randomized them, so I wouldn't be biased in any type of sorting order here. So here are what I think are the top 18 He-Man episodes in a random order. Ordeal in the Darklands. This is the one with the Crimson Scourge, which I think of as a very iconic classic He-Man monster. Evil Seed. This was one of the ones where He-Man and Skeletor had to team up together to defeat a third-party villain, and I remember Evil Seed thinking he was rather creepy as a kid, and so this episode definitely makes the list. Next, Curse of the Spellstone, and this episode introduces two very iconic He-Man elements to me. The Creeping Horak, which was a way that the Eternians used to punish criminals, a particularly horrifying way, and then also the Fire People that I wish we got to see more of throughout the entire series. Next, The Arena, and this is a Season 2 episode, which happens to feature what appears to be the first contact of Eternia with an alien species, although that could be a bit questionable. Seems like they do contact those all the time. And you get to see a major battle between armies, the Palace Guard and Goblin Army, as well as He-Man and Skeletor duking it out one-on-one. To Save Skeletor, another Season 2 episode. This one is another one of those where He-Man and Skeletor have to get together because Skeletor's basically summoned Cthulhu here, and it's a major problem. So this episode definitely makes the list. The Rainbow Warrior, and this is a Season 2 episode that focuses on Queen Marlena, and of course there were a couple of different places where she gives some backstory and information about herself, but this is a really important episode because she really comes into her own, and we also get great battles. The She-Demon of Phantos. This is an early Season 1 episode where Skeletor isn't comedic, and so he's very much the Lord of Destruction in this episode, and I appreciate the plotting of a villain Skeletor here. A Friend in Need. This one has a very strong anti-drug message in it, and I remember it quite a bit as a kid. The Problem with Power, kind of a later Season 2 episode, and this one is the one that a lot of people seem to think is actually the best. Well, what do I think? This is going to be my top 10. Where am I going to put it? But definitely a very emotional episode here with The Problem with Power, and lots of people argue that it is the best one. The Diamond Ray of Disappearance. This is the first episode, Season 1, Episode 1. So I like a lot of the earlier episodes because, they did get a little bit more comedic as they went on. And, sometimes you think, well, it should get stronger as it goes on. But I appreciate some of the harder fantasy elements and things from the earlier episodes. And so Season 1, Episode 1 made the list. Diamond Ray of Disappearance to me. The Shaping Staff, another relatively early Season 1 episode, and of course, lots of people do think about the Shaping Staff when they think about the original He-Man, so much so that it made an appearance in the new He-Man Revelations as well. So we need to return to the original here and see if the original episode, where it goes and where it should sit. Teela's Quest, here again, early episode, Season 1, Episode 2. There's a lot of backstory given in this, lots of character development, as well as still plenty of time to defeat some monsters in this one, so it's made my list. The Dragon's Gift, Season 1, Episode 18. Granomir. Everybody loves Granomir. Got to have a dragon, this ancient and powerful dragon, and he's got a great personality and attitude throughout the entire season. Now, he's one that gets to come back. I wish that we had seen more of the different villains and things return throughout the series, but Granomir, now he's not exactly a villain, does get to return, but this is his first appearance, so he made my list. The Wizard of Stone Mountain. I've seen on Facebook that a lot of people happen to like this one that I was talking to. It definitely made my list as well. The idea of promising your soul to this demon in exchange for the one that you love, very powerful storytelling here. The Dragon Invasion, again, another very early episode here, Season 1, Episode 4. Seeing the sorceress here imprisoned inside Skeletor's hand, very powerful imagery right here. So the Dragon Invasion definitely made this list. The Song of Celeste. This is the one about the singer who keeps the monster imprisoned with her voice. I think this is definitely sort of classic fantasy stuff. Also has some elements that kind of remind me of some Star Trek episodes, some original series Star Trek episodes. So The Song of Celeste, another early episode on the list. The Sleepers Awaken, Season 1, Episode 52. Here is one that's not focused on Skeletor, but we get some really cool gothic vampires in here, and I really enjoyed this episode. And last but not least, because this is in no particular order, Like Father, Like Daughter, Season 1, Episode 11. This is the one, or this is one of the ones where Skeletor tries to raise an army. He definitely needs one that comes up in a few different episodes. This is one where he's trying to raise an army of serpentoids, and they're manufacturing this army, and I think that's pretty cool. So that is my list of the top 18 He-Man episodes. As I've been going back through and rewatching them all, I've been taking notes, then went back through, and I made this list of these 18 that I happened to really enjoy and really stood out to me and that I thought were really good. So now as we go here, I'm going to watch them all again, and you can watch them with me here on YouTube. So if you want to go through that, and then I'll be doing commentary and analysis as we watch. So definitely like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you'll see those review and analysis videos and commentary as they come out. We'll be doing that over the next few weeks, but then also come by the channel, because what I'm going to do as these are coming out, I'm going to put them on a playlist on my channel, and that way you can just go right there and then watch all of the review and commentary through. I'm going to try to come up with episode number 1 as far as my ranking goes, episode 2 as far as my ranking goes, and then I'm just going to have a block in no particular order of 3, 4, and 5, and then I'm going to try to do another block that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we'll have another block for all of the other episodes, which are kind of an honorable mention category. I think that's how I'm going to do it, rather than trying to actually individually rank and try to figure out, is this 6 or is this 7? I think those kinds of blocks make a lot of sense. So, all right, so that was my list of what they were. So I do think that needs to go up on the Table Talk channel. Rogue Thinker. Oh, did I get old in the last 2 years? I guess I did. Rogue Thinker. I guess there's a big difference between me and now and 2 years ago. They did have, Sable Trey says, the problem with the things from this era of He-Man is they all had to have some social or educational message. Yeah, they did always have that at the end. G.I. Joe had that too. My brother was much more into G.I. Joe, so he had the G.I. Joe. He played G.I. Joe, but I remember they had that too. Sable Phoenix was saying, in my opinion, the animated shows that still hold up are Exo Squad. I don't know that one. And Spiral Zone. I don't know that one either. As well as the DC animated universe, starting with Batman and ending with the Justice League Unlimited. I don't know those. I remember watching some Gargoyles. And Evil Seed. I had to go over here. I had to get this Evil Seed action figure. They didn't have an Evil Seed action figure back when I was a kid, but they got an Evil Seed action figure now. This was part of it's not the classics line, but one of the lines released an Evil Seed action figure. And I realized, I need, I should put him over here. Evil Seed, he's kind of a cool action figure. I still need to do something with the bases of some of these. But I did think Evil Seed was pretty creepy when I was a kid. And if I had had an Evil Seed action figure, I probably would have enjoyed that. Good morning, George. Do you think Problem with Power is up there? It is. I mean, it's going to be up there. Good morning, Michael. And James says that's a great blueprint you got there. Yeah, like what does it say, like castle or something like that? That's right. James is saying, yeah, a fun fact, He-Man is half Earthling. His mother was Captain Marlena Glenn, a space explorer from Earth before becoming stranded on Eternia and marrying Randor. Yeah, that's that. I remember that. I also thought that one was creepy as a kid, though. The bargain with that guy, and then the demon, the fire demon that comes out. It Faustian bargain. It was. I wish that guy had come back more, and had him in more than one episode. There were lots of bad guys that I would have liked to have seen again, and I would have liked to have seen that fire demon. I mean, it was pretty. Well, I mean, selling your soul to the devil. I mean, that wasn't a light subject. PH says, I love Masters of the Universe designs, but the TV Granomir design always put me off. The creepiest He-Man moral came from Swift Wind. I was like, yikes. Yeah, it is a Super 7 evil figure, right? Evil Seed figure, right? Yes. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll just start. I don't know how, we're not gonna do this. We won't do this every day, but we'll start with this since we're on He-Man right here, and let's take a look at the first He-Man episode on that list. And these are in no particular area or no particular order. We'll just see how they go. So let's talk about Ordeal in the Darklands. Of course, I can't play it, but what I do is I put up on the screen images because I was trying to come up with some way to play a little bit of the snippet, but I remember I was having trouble with YouTube hitting me with copyright things when I was trying to play some kind of snippet of the show during a review. So we got images and a little bit of a snippet here or there, maybe as YouTube would allow it. Okay, so let's take a look at Ordeal in the Darklands. Everyone, today we're going to be watching the He-Man episode Ordeal in the Darklands, and I will be providing some review and analysis. This is episode 35 of the first season. At the end of this video, we will also be ranking the episode on my list of top 10 of my personal favorite He-Man episodes, as well as some honorable mentions, and we will see where it fits. This is one of those episodes, again, that was very strong in my memory as a child, and so it's one that I've gone back to and watched several times again. So I know it's going to rank here probably pretty strongly. First of all, I like the idea that Evelyn is taking charge here with Skeletor away. As it happens, it seems like a lot of the episodes that I tend to gravitate to have not been Skeletor-centric episodes. Some of them are, of course, but a lot of them aren't. And so here's an example where we don't have, a particular monster coming in from the outside, but Evelyn taking charge. That Evelyn's one of my favorite characters anyway, which is why I had to get her Filmation action figure, which I think is just fantastic. I think a lot of these episodes, including this one with Core and the idea of his daughter, it has a really old school feel. And of course, I think that's a characteristic a lot of the episodes that I like. I like the old school Dungeons and Dragons, Conan kind of feel. There's a kind of storytelling here that is difficult for me to just put my finger on, but that I really appreciate. So now here we have Teela doing something like the Luke Skywalker training on board the Millennium Falcon with this droid. And I always appreciated this as a kid as well because I wanted one of those droids. I was always out trying to sword fight things with sticks, and I would have loved to have had one of those training droids. And then I also appreciate that Teela's like, well, can I handle myself, and that she wants to go on a survival mission. I had camping and woodcraft. I still have that book up here on my shelf. I appreciate all of that. And so she's been practicing against this really cool training droid I wish I had. And then she wants to go out on her own. I definitely think that's something that I connected with because I certainly wanted to go out. Of course, then it was just into the backyard and try to survive for some time. So I think I did have a bit of an affinity and an understanding of what Teela's going through here. Here we do have a reuse of this model. I believe this was Celise, also from the Song of Celise, that other episode. And then also the Basher, which is the equivalent of the Wind Raider, except for the evil warriors. Sort of a Star Trek beam me up effect. I appreciate that. There's the old school fantasy, but then I think I'll come up with this time and again in a bunch of different episodes. There's also a lot that, of course, that reminds me of some of the original series Star Trek. And so, all right, now we've got her daughter in kind of a sci-fi way. Now here, unfortunately, with this training sequence with Orko, I think we do make the training droid a little bit less cool since he can be taken out with a suction cup dart. So even as a kid, I think I realized that. I did think, well, the training droid should be better than that. Again, here we are connecting with Teela on a survival mission, just trying to see, I suppose, how long she can survive. Although she didn't really pack that much equipment, so maybe she's just wandering around. I think I remember playing as if, we were being captured by these kind of electronic bolas as a kid as well. And then here we got like lizard kinds of creatures here. That's, again, a kind of old school thing. You have to think about in the times that this was created, and of course this is released 1983 or something like that. This is the first season, so close right there. What's going on in the world here? Now, I appreciate, again, Evelyn trying to be diplomatic. She's actually a little bit better at this than Skeletor in some regards, and now uses her magic to convince the father, the Wizard Core here, that it was actually He-Man that had kidnapped the daughter in the same way that Triclops had done. And so, that's pretty clever as far as things go. It's not something Skeletor had thought of. And so I appreciate that about Evelyn's ingenuity. Core does kind of argue back a little bit, and he's not completely taken in at the first, although he does end up being a bit gullible for the rest of the episode. I also appreciate the general idea of the history that they try to imply here, as well as in many other places, that Core is this wizard who has this great responsibility for preserving or for continuing to entrap the Crimson Scourge, this horrific monster. Now, of course, throughout the He-Man series, we have the idea of an entrapped, horrific monster of evil occur again and again and again. So, okay, overall, as far as use across the complete series, yes, probably overdone. That's the monster of the week that comes out of some type of thing that has it trapped, you would wonder exactly how many monsters of ultimate evil are laying around Eternia trapped. But I do appreciate it here, and we also do have a guardian of it, and so I appreciated that. We have kind of another Star Wars idea here, because once again, not only do we have the training droid that's spherical like Luke was doing, Luke was facing on the Millennium Falcon, but we have this chess set, which is a lot like what Han Solo and Chewbacca were playing, and R2-D2 on board the Millennium Falcon. I like to trace the influences of things, and maybe that's something we can do in a greater detail later, because if you lay out a timeline of when certain things are happening, certain movies are being released, certain television shows are being released, you can really start to see the influences of one thing upon another. Now here we go to the attack track, and the attack track was always one of my favorite vehicles. So it was never something that I had as a kid, because they never produced an attack track like this, because it would just be huge. But I always appreciated the attack track. I loved it. And once again, we have the idea that Core isn't completely taken, and he isn't completely, evil, which is an important point throughout this episode here. He's just consumed by the loss of his daughter, which is a nice kind of touch as far as the motivations of the person who is set up as the bad guy, so to speak, in this episode. Now, this is another very memorable moment to me as I was watching this as a kid, when He-Man has to fight his shadow. Of course, the points where He-Man actually has to fight something, and some of the battles I'm sure we'll see in a bunch of different episodes, are some of my favorites. And so He-Man fighting his shadow and being unable to get any kind of upper hand on it, I thought that was cool. And also that he ends up having to defeat the spellcaster who is causing the creation of his shadow. I like that. Now we see the Crimson Scourge, and as a kid, I think this was one of my favorite bad guys. Certainly one of the most memorable, probably in the top 5 or something like that. So I was a little bit disappointed when I was watching this later that it doesn't actually have more screen time and do a bit more. But the idea of transporting He-Man to fight this Fire Panther. Of course, I kind of liked cougars and panthers and things like that as a kid anyway. And so the idea of this Fire Panther I thought was pretty cool. Because it never charges He-Man or anything. It kind of just stands there. It does breathe on him a little bit, but while it just kind of disassembles the wall. So it wasn't terribly aggressive after all. It does seem awfully easy to get into Snake Mountain. That happens more than a few times. We'll also see how much they care about who else might be in the dungeons of Snake Mountain at this particular point in time. Apparently, not so much about the other people. Maybe all the other jail cells were empty. We'll just go with that. There's plenty of opportunity in this one for Teela to be heroic, so that's also nice. She's the one who goes and rescues the daughter, along with Orko. Though she did say it was a sky sled, she didn't bring the Wind Raider, which would more comfortably sit more than one person. So I guess the daughter had to climb on the back of the sky sled, kind of like it was riding double on a motorcycle. And I guess Orko had to fly. Yep, here they come. Well, I guess Orko's holding on. And then we have the turning of Core, realizing that he's been in error this whole time. Now, I also think I thought this was cool as a kid. We've got the Crimson Scourge, he's escaped. It's this really cool fire panther creature, and there's a lot that's going on. And I thought this was cool, I think, that, he burns up this log that He-Man throws at him. But, as is frequently the case, I wanted more out of this battle. Even as a kid, and I especially want more out of it now, because okay, we've got this idea that there's water beneath the ground, which we have set up from a storytelling perspective. Even from the very beginning, when Teela was back in the palace, she said that she could get into the Darklands by following the underground river. So from a storytelling perspective, this was set up from the beginning, and that's done very well. But then again, this Crimson Scourge was something that was supposed to terrorize people for, thousands of years or whatever, and then eventually they were able to capture it. But nobody ever thought of spraying it with water. Especially now, it's a little bit lame. I mean, it's not actually all that hard to destroy this giant fire panther beast. Just spray the thing with water. Isn't that kind of the first thing that anyone would think about? But, He-Man does, and oh well. And now, of course, all is set to rights. Everyone recognizes the errors of their ways, which is nice because we don't have, an actual evil person here, other than Evil Lynn, who had set all of this up. But we've got Kor coming to reconciliation with He-Man and the rest of the heroes. So now, if we bring up the scoreboard, where does this one rank to me? So I've got 1 through 10, but then again, it's going to be very hard for me to be able to rank every one of them through 10. And so you can see I've got different categories here. I've got 1 and 2, okay, but then 3, 4, and 5 are going to be in no particular order. That's a cluster. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, those are also going to be a cluster. So the particular order that they're in any of those clusters is not, and then we're going to have honorable mentions. So at the moment, I'm thinking that this one is going to have to go in the block that is 6 through 10. So this is Ordeal in the Darklands. So I'll just put it at number 6 to begin with, and then, of course, everything is subject to change as we go through and we continue to review episodes. So, that's Ordeal in the Darklands. I certainly think it's one of the top He-Man episodes, as far as my enjoyment goes at least, so I'm at the moment ranking it within the top 10, and we will see how it goes. If you agree, disagree, whatever, please put that in the comments below. That will be fine. Please let me know. I'll be... Alright, so let's see. James says, I love a good sword and planet setting. He-Man is the best of the best. Crazed Harpooner says the droid was not programmed to consider the suction cup dart as a dangerous weapon. That may have been what it was. Or, I was sitting here thinking that also it could be that the training droid adapts its own skill to the skill of the person that it's working with, the person that it's training. So maybe it was on Orko combat mode, and so it wasn't expecting, or so wasn't operating at the same level that it would if it were fighting Tila. Kind of like how in the Next Generation they're talking about the holograms in the holodeck for martial arts training, adjusting themselves as the person gets easier, the person gets better. Hey, Ghostly Karma. Welcome. James says there are 2 evil He-Mans, Faker and Anti-Eternia He-Man. I do not have Anti-Eternia He-Man, but Faker, I wanted to be sure I got. I never had a Faker as a kid. I had a second He-Man that had some kind of part missing, like a missing hand or something like that. And it was actually the He-Man that had the chest protector on. My He-Man was one of my main He-Man was one of the battle damage He-Man, who his chest would spin and battle damage would occur when you hit it. But I wanted the one with the chest protector on because that's what he looks like in the TV show. But somehow I got one that was damaged. I think I got it secondhand from somebody who had moved on or something like that. And so I couldn't use as my main. I was disappointed because I couldn't use as my main He-Man because he had a damaged hand. So I used it as my Faker. But, oh yeah, so here I got. Oh yeah, I got 2 Fakers. The Anti-Eternia He-Man is pretty cool. Here's the, this should be the Super 7 one right here. My problem with him, I haven't had time to go back and paint anything, but I think he needs a paint job. I think that this action figure could be really improved with a better paint job. Especially the detail, the detailing up here and things like that. I think you could paint him up and he would look a lot better. I just haven't had. I've been painting miniatures and just have not had time to do that. And I do have one of the classics Fakers as well. But the thing I don't like about this one, they're taller. But the thing I don't like about it is the head. Now, there are people who sell custom heads. They're 3D printing heads, and they're 3D printing heads that are a lot better. So I'm thinking about, well, they're expensive, though. They seem to be expensive. But there. But you can get a better head for him, and I think he would look improved with improved hairstyling and things like that. So I am a Faker fan. So I got 2 Fakers over here. Need to put them over here. PH says, is Eternia at the center of the universe? I didn't remember that. Might have many apocalyptic monsters prisons. That would be a reason for that. Yeah, the attack track is awesome. Now, that would be something. I wonder if surely somebody has been building like an attack track or has an attack track toy or built a custom one or something. It would be big because, I mean, it would be pretty big because you could fit in the show, a lot of characters would go riding in the attack track. And even Battle Cat could get in the attack track. So that would be a big thing. It probably wouldn't be all that hard to build one. Trey says, other good cartoons from around this time were Sword and Sorcery, Thundar, Pirates of Darkwater, more 90s, Black Star, and of course D&D. Yes, you're right. It was a theme. It was definitely a theme for the time. Pirates of Darkwater has come up, I think, on this channel before. I remember it, but I don't remember watching it all that much. Sadly, it seems like cartoons with really good storyline structure and/or world building seem not to be able to last a full run. Trey says, wasn't He-Man done with rotoscoping animation to make movements look more real? I forgot how slow the frame rate and pacing were. Yes, so that was rotoscoped. There was a lot of rotoscoping done. You can see pictures of the actors that they hired, and they're wearing rudimentary costumes, the main elements of the costumes for each one of the characters, and then doing the rolls or the moving and the looking and things like that. And then they were rotoscoped. They sure were. Origins, that you're right. So I believe this is the Origins Faker. So that's that line. I always forget that line. So this is Origins Faker right here. Whereas this right over here is Classics Faker. Good morning, Brett. Michael says, by the time He-Man came out, I was spoiled by Star Blazers and Thundar the Barbarian. I think Faker was underused in the TV show. There's only one episode with Faker in it, and now he doesn't look blue. He's not blue in the TV show. In fact, he looks like He-Man. He's basically a duplicate of He-Man that Skeletor creates magically very easily, it seems like. He just shoots some magic, and then he's able to create a duplicate of He-Man in order to fool the sorceress, I believe, into leaving Castle Grayskull, where then she's captured by Skeletor. I'm sure that's in one of the episodes that I've got on that list. But I did like that, well, in the TV show when I was a kid, in the TV show, Faker looked like He-Man, except he had glowing white eyes. So you'd think that would tip off the sorceress. But he had glowing white eyes, and so he did look like He-Man. So at least my Faker looked like He-Man again. Even though I didn't have any one of the blue ones. But I thought that was underused. Having a Faker storyline would have been good. Oh, there was a fan production of He-Man as Faker. Wait a minute. Does anybody remember this? What is that called? There was it's kind of like in the vein of Star Trek Continues. Because Star Trek Continues, went back to make the original Star Wars. There was an attempt to go back and make an original He-Man episode, but give a Faker storyline with a Faker storyline. Let me see if I can find something about it. Yeah. See, look at that right there. So that's a frame from it. So there is Faker as the blue Faker. And so it was called, The Return of Faker. A promotional image from The Return of Faker. But something happened to it. Yeah, that's how Faker appeared in the original show. And does trick He-Man, or does trick the sorceress. But there is Faker. So what happened here? Um, yeah, James Etalk did it. Right. This is from January 2017. Update March 31st, 2019. Over on his Instagram page, James Etalk has debuted scene 8 from The Return of Faker. So it was an attempt to go back and really make it make an original He-Man show again and add Faker in since he was never there. But it got shut down or something. People might be talking in the comment section about this. Beast Wars says Sable Phoenix says one of the first cartoons that had an obvious in hindsight full storyline plan to tie into previous cartoons. But BW Megatron was a fantastic villain, a day of reckoning with those who made us slaves. Yeah, James says, I'll have to turn this out. Check this out. I've never heard of The Return of Faker. I'm interested. I think for some reason Mattel shut it down, or it might have been Mattel, but I think somebody shut it down. So I don't think that it was ever something that was finished, but there might be some YouTube videos where you can still see part of it. Let's just see. Return of Faker. Wait a minute. This could be some of it. Talk about the slow pacing there, but that's it. That's what it was. I think we get to see Skeletor work with some technology here. That does look cool. So again, this seems to be one of those like with Star Trek Continues. This seems to be one of those projects that was done with great love. I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, I'll put this link in the comments right here. So that's some of it. You'll have to look up Return of Faker. That's obviously not a whole episode length, but there may be more on YouTube. Trey says, have a great day, everyone. I have to hop out. I just want to point out that I do not think the sorceress would have missed the white eyes, but surely she would have noted blue skin if he showed up that way. Yeah, if he showed up in blue skin, yeah, he definitely would have noticed that. And actually, I liked that episode, or for the way it was used. I wanted more out of Faker, like I had just said, but I did like what was the way it depicted that, because He-Man shows up and he's calling out the sorceress, and the sorceress thinks that He-Man is hurt. So first of all, you introduce the idea that He-Man could be hurt because he seems to be this invulnerable Superman, right? But that episode does introduce the idea that, hey, it's kind of dangerous to be He-Man. the sorceress believes that he's been injured and he's outside and needs her help. And you don't often see that. Do you see that again? I'm not sure. But I do remember that because she was tricked because she thinks He-Man is hurt and injured. Trey says, still sad that Cortex Prime was canceled. The Cortex Prime canceled the He-Man tabletop RPG. That would have been fun. I know. I'm upset about that as well. I was really looking forward to a new He-Man episode. I think that's pretty cool the way they're showing the way that Faker sees things, very Terminator-like. And they did also replicate the magical energy. That's what it looks like from the original cartoon. There we go. Yeah. Pretty cool. According to the 1987 motion picture, PH says, at the planet's center lies the star seed, a spark left over from the creation of the universe. Processing it would grant infinite power to its holder. I believe they talk about that in the episode The Search. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think they talk about specifically Castle Grayskull. That's coming back to me now. I really liked the intro to the He-Man movie. Of course, we can talk about the general misfire with the He-Man movie. But one of the good things about it, of course, the good thing about it is the depiction of Skeletor. The depiction of Skeletor. That's why I had to have this. Well, that's why I had to have this in honor of Frank Langala's Skeletor. Man, that Skeletor was awesome. Skeletor is freaking awesome in that movie. That was the best part of this movie. None of the rest of the movie lived up to Skeletor. Skeletor held down the movie. In fact, there are edits on YouTube where if you just watch the parts of the movie that had Skeletor in it, you would think, oh my God, this is an awesome movie. And Skeletor is going to be up there as a villain with Darth Vader, so the best of the sci-fi fantasy villains. He was that good. But one of the other things that was really great about that was the opening intro where they're doing the prologue. And I think I remember that now. It had a great voice to that going into Castle Grayskull. Castle Grayskull at the center of the universe. Yes. And actually, James is confirming that there are in-universe star charts that put it at the center. If Eternia dies, the universe dies. Okay. Maybe somebody else will bring it out. James says, Frank Langella consistently names Skeletor as his most favorite acting part of all time. You can tell it comes through. It completely does. I wish the rest of the movie had lived up to the performance that he gave. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right. Good Skeletor should be Skeletron. What else would you say? So we can pull out a He-Man episode from time to time if we need it. Okay. Let's see. I've got a dinner meeting tomorrow night. So I've got a dinner meeting tomorrow night. I'm looking for another time. Maybe Thursday night. I'm trying to see if I can come up with another guest for Thursday night on Table Talk. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can't. We will see. I got to send emails, try to get somebody in here. I would love to be able to do another Table Talk on Thursday, though. But it looks like I think that these videos need to go up to the Table Talk channel. I forgot that. I'm glad they still exist. I'm glad I found them. All right. Well, everybody, I really appreciate your being with me for this kind of trip down memory lane. Seems like there is a lot of love and nostalgia here for the He-Man episodes and also some of the other cartoons from that era. So I am going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to go take care of a whole bunch of errands and still continue to do not fun administrative work. But please, everybody else, go forth, be creative, be productive, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. Later, everybody.